How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well.
Perfect. We have 15 participants here on the call for you right now, and I see Wally Shaver is just joining us. So as soon as we bring Wally in, I'll probably turn it over to you quick for an opening statement, and then we will start going for questions. So, Coach, by all means, go on ahead.
Well, these next, this week's, how important is this week right now that Michigan and Notre Dame, Arizona State, and Wisconsin get us started. That's what we want, is get this darn season started. And I think once we get this train rolling, we're all going to feed off of that. And then the rest of us follow a week later. And that's the key right now. And I'm just going right to the thing that's on the forefront for all of us is COVID. How we're all preparing, we're all ready to go. We're in a great spot. Let's just get this darn season started, and then it's going to be a rocky road, but we'll get through it once we can get that first game in.
With that, let's start with Jess Myers. Jess, you have the first question.
Bob, looking at the schedule, some Big Ten teams are playing 12 games before Christmas. You've got 8 games, and you're starting a week later than everybody else. Do you like that extra week right now? And that looks like it will lead to kind of a 20-game marathon in the second half of the season. What are your thoughts just on your schedule?
Well, the second half is normal. That's usually what we do anyway. It's either 18 or 20 games the second half. You take out the 6 games we're losing. We're too short. Really break it down, Jess. We're too short from what you would, besides the 6.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago. I rarely look at the schedule. I think it was my first year coaching. I looked at the schedule. I didn't think we were going to win a game, and it is what it is. And you get ready, prepare, and play when it shows up. And that's the truth too.
We'll go to Randy Johnson next. Randy, go ahead.
Yeah, Bob, your coaching colleagues picked your team to win the Big Ten. What's your thoughts on that and going into the season?
Well, I sure like that. If that were the case in March, this is November and we haven't played a game yet. And I've always thought coaches' polls to pick a season are silly, but I know it's tradition. I know it's for fans, and it really comes from the fact that we had a strong second half last year, and we're right knocking on the door, and we've got a lot of returning players, and it's kind of tag you're it, and we get it. You can't hide that we've got a good hockey team returning. We still have another big step to take, though, and I'm sure I'll get into some questions to define that, but if we get off to a start like we finished last year, we'll be in a good spot. But by no means, I can tell you right now, in the Big Ten, all 7 teams think they can win the league. And all 7 teams have a chance. I haven't ever been a part of that before. Usually, every year in the old WCHA and the NCHC, there was an order to that year. I've been in this league 2 years. Penn State last year was the best team. But it was a fight to the end. And it's crazy how this league's going to operate. And it's buckle up and stay healthy and stay in front of COVID and let your players develop, and you're going to have a shot at the end. But I just talked for all 7 coaches.
Let's go over to Big Ten Network now. Dan Kelly, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. It's good to see your face and hear your voice again. It's been a while. I guess if you could be so kind and just kind of introduce us to and describe a little bit some of your new freshmen that we're going to see on the ice in the first couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, hey, a year ago, and I talked about was 19 freshmen and sophomores. We have 4 freshmen this year, and that's another reason why I'm sure we were picked high. But the real impact for us is in this freshman class is we brought in 3 defensemen and just 1 forward. So, and Michael Kester and Brock Faber and Carl Fish on defense. It's a great mix for 3 defensemen we're going to build in. I mean, we were very fortunate. Faber came home to us and he's an elite defenseman, and he's well schooled coming out of the U.S. development program. And he's all that's been built in our short time. I mean, he can skate. He's got great feet for defending. And it's about him developing an offensive side of his game. And he's going to be an impact player for us immediately. I think a tad of a surprise for us in a way has been Michael Kester. You know, he was one of the elite defensemen in the state of Minnesota. And when he was committed here, went to the USHL, and what a great developmental year it was, because he has really surprised us. He's going to be a heck of a college defenseman. He'll be an elite offensive defenseman at this level, which we were hoping, but you love to see it when you get started. And then my staff gets kudos on Carl Fish. Another one of those guys that you're seeing come into college hockey out of the North American League. You know, he's 6'2", 6'3". He's truly nasty. He's an element that's going to, you know, it may be a little bit for him to break into our lineup, but he is going to be one heck of a Gopher. And he is something that we need. A big, nasty, he takes command of the weight room when he's in there. He's just an athlete. He's going to turn some heads in time. And we know it on the inside. It's going to be a little bit maybe because of the depth on our D before you guys see it, but he's going to be a big impact. And then Mason Nevers up front, you know, truly was a star player at Edina High School, had a terrific year in Des Moines in the USHL. And he's just a hockey player. You know, I love having guys like that around. The puck finds him. He's going to score points. He's going to throw in a lot of points in his Gopher career. Terrific young man. Like a lot of freshmen, you know, his body's got to catch up a bit. But we don't have, where my first 2 years, we had to throw freshmen into key roles right away. And we had to live with that for 2 years in Walker, McLaughlin, Ranta, Myers last year. And we're going to be able to kind of give Nevers baby steps and maybe more of a normal traditional path to college hockey. So we're really excited about those four guys. They're gonna be real good hockey players for us.
Thank you, Coach. Our next question will go to Greg Cameron.
Morning, Coach. Is it extra motivating at all? I know you're excited to get going, but is it a little extra juice to see Penn State as the first matchup, given how things ended in March?
Well, you know, I'd be telling you that for whoever we're playing at this point, what we've gone through, the fact that it's Penn State, and that's who we were supposed to play last year. Our guys, and they lost a lot of players off their team last year. That's not the same team. But yet they've kicked our butt the last handful of years. We felt we were closing the gap. I did watch our game recently with them from a year ago, and we were closing the gap, but we hadn't closed it. They were a better hockey team than us a year ago. And rightfully we're I think the Big Ten, regular season champ. But I'll tell you, we wanted to play that game. We felt we were ready that we were closing the gap. I can't tell you we closed it, but we were there last year. But the most important thing this year, Penn State, we're going to have be ready for it. But what we've gone through being shut down since last March and delayed now, we're just excited. We just want to get that game going. And I don't care who it is, but it just happens to be Penn State coming in.
We'll go across to Wisconsin now. Todd, do you have a question for Coach?
I do. Hi, Bob. Thanks for
Hi, Todd.
doing this. Wondering how much you think this season is just going to be about who can face the adversity the best. There's going to be a lot of weird things around corners that teams are going to have to face this year. How much of that do you think is going to depend on who wins the Big Ten? Is going to depend on that. And what makes you think you guys are well equipped to handle that? Well,
you're right on. I mean, and what a question for you to ask. Look what happened over your football program. And that's Wisconsin's not. That's just one of how many. I'm going to liken it back. And I think football is a little different because you've got over 100 and maybe 40 people, and you just have so many more opportunities for it to get inside your bubble. Unless you are in a true bubble. But I baseball this summer, I think, taught us something. And I'll go on, like when the Marlins got it right off the bat, and I think the Cardinals were the next one. I mean, it media blew up on it. Like, are they going to be able to make it happen? Well, and you even saw in baseball, the players started to police themselves, and because they had to travel around the country, and they got through it. and they found a way. And I think, and I'm hoping this more than I can, that hockey right now, we're smaller numbers in football. That gives us a better chance. 2, let's get this thing started. Because once you start playing and once you get inside your routine, it's so much easier for us to and I'm going to use this word a little loosely, have control over the situation. All the students are going home at Thanksgiving. If we can get started this week, we can get to Thanksgiving. All right, we're going to get to Christmas. And then I think it's the teams that are really buying into it. It's the teams that are, policing themselves. And I got a really good, one of my best friends in college hockey, his captain came up to him and said, Coach, you got to put a rule down. And he said, hey, wait a minute. Why are you making me the bad guy? This is your team. You put the rule down and how you want this to go. How do you want the season to look? And it really does fall. And our guys want to play. And it's really hard for college students. And we kind of all of us have lived through this fall, get us to our season. And you're right, Todd. The teams that can navigate it the best are going to be put in the best spot. I think and I don't know the facts on this, but it's had a real impact in college football. When you're out 21 days, and if you have a number of guys, it means they're not practicing. Your timing is off, and you're not going to be right back on top of your game when you get back. So you got to make hay when you're healthy. It'll probably bump into all of us, but I think hockey's got a very good chance to be successful. Lower numbers, kids are going home off our campuses in Thanksgiving. We saw baseball do it. It was easy for hockey and basketball. They were in true bubbles. And I think we've learned too. We're all talking to other coaches. We're all talking around the country. Our players are. I think there's a path for us to get this thing in, and navigating it is going to be critical for high success. Sorry to be winded on that.
Thanks, Coach. We're going to go to Drew Cove for our next question. Drew, go ahead.
Hey, Bob. About a month ago, you said that practicing, I guess that extra practice time couldn't really hurt. But has it really helped your team get to more mid-season form now as we are now a week away from everything starting?
It really has done everything. You've seen, I saw us peak in early October. Like, we were ready to play. And we actually then pulled the reins back because they would have been bored. We took some more time off. It kind of is now. It is what it is. So I've seen this big up and down pattern. I think we're on the uptick again right now, fighting to play. I think once our guys saw a date and a team, like getting married, we got a ring and we got a date. And we've got that now to get started. You're seeing them get dialed back in again. And that's natural. I think it's all natural because, I think they thought we were BSing them for the longest time. Hey, don't worry, guys. We're going to play. When, Coach? Well, I can't tell you that, but we're going to play, then the next Monday. Don't worry. We're going to play, guys. They didn't want to hear that anymore. At first, it was fine. They finally wanted to hear, they wanted the ring and they wanted the date, and they got it. We got it for November 19th in Penn State.
Next up, we're going to go to Wally Shaver. Wally, you've got Coach.
Bob, it's just, I know teams usually start up right after Labor Day when school begins again, but I know you touched on it a bit with Drew's question there, but what have you guys as coaches been doing and what have the players been doing to get ready for this start here in November?
Yeah, well, like I said, we really were amped up in October, and I knew we had to back off. And, we started to give them more days off because they would have kind of burned out on us. And I don't mean physically, but mentally, once we knew it was going to be mid-November. We have been doing far more work on skills, and I think that's going to pay off. We've got a very talented team, and because it's really hard to work systems week after week after week. They don't want that, and been a lot of games, a lot of goal scoring, a lot of feel good. We we've had to have a lot of practices where they leave the rink feeling really good about, and the only way hockey players feel good is you got to score goals. But we now are dialing it in, and we are now leaning on each other, and we're getting physical, and we're going to have some intense scrimmages this week, and we got another week to go. But you've just seen this up and down. We've all dealt with it. Never been through it either, Wally, too. So I'd be lying if I thought I had a perfect. And I can't tell you how many of us coaches have been in contact with each other, and it's been like, what do you think if we do this? I go, it sounds good. I'll try it too. We're spitting in the wind a lot of times when you have so much time on your hands. I know an advantage for us is we got a terrific group of guys. I mean, I love this group, and they are eager. We got great leadership. That's what's made it easy for us. And I'm sure a lot of other teams are going to say the same thing, but we got a special group.
Bob, but one other question. Has the NCAA decided yet what they're going to do to determine qualifying teams for the 16-team format?
There's going to be some subjectivity to it. I'm not, we've had plenty of phone calls on it because the pairwise pretty much goes out the window when you're not having non-conference games. But being around as long as I've been, they're not going to screw it up. Even though what our pairwise does for us, it kind of states, most years it states the obvious. I know there always comes down to one or two teams, but usually all of us that have been in, and even all you that follow it, late January, February, you guys can all look at it, and you don't need the pairwise to tell you, hey, these 10 teams are in. You just know they're in. And it's a fight for those next 6, and then it all depends on, and I think they're going to get it right, and they're going to want to get it right. And, will there be a couple at the end? I just hope it's not us. I hope we can do our work. Will be a couple of battles at the end. I'm sure there will be because you don't have a pairwise on it, but they'll nail it. They'll get it right. I'm confident in that.
We'll go back to Big Ten Network with Fred Pletz. Fred, you have coach.
Hi, Bob. Just with limitations on group sizes and interactions, how has practice and preparation changed, especially on ice, in terms of, whistles and whiteboards and gathering players and talking to them? That's got to be a new world for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you one crazy story how I see it through my eyes. So we're in 3 different locker rooms. And so when we had to put our guys in, and we have a real beautiful locker room, and then we've got 2 cinder block locker rooms down the way. So I said, well, let's put 3 groups and then we'll rotate after 2 weeks. So everybody can come back into the fancy locker room. And some of you guys might've heard me say this. So it was like a week later, week and a half later, I went down to the cinder blocks, and I go, you guys ready to switch? And they go, no, we don't want to switch. We love it here. We were worried about it. They could care less. And it was really the truth. And we have not changed locker rooms. So from the start, and a lot of teams are back in one locker room. And I think we're staying in the 3 right now. It's good separation. And I know there's a time we got to get from a camaraderie standpoint. We haven't been able to have big meetings. But we can talk on the ice. So we've been, we do short video meetings, it's very easy to do. The defenseman can be in 2 groups of forwards, and the goalies can be by themselves now. We haven't had any large team meetings on film yet, but we're just doing it in short meetings. But when we have our talk, we do it on the ice. And these guys are so resilient that they get it. And that taught me a lesson. I was so worried on guys, thinking they were getting cheated out of being in a locker room. They could care less where they were. And it was kind of refreshing for me to put a lot of faith in them.
So I know, talking to Danton Cole at Michigan State, Guy Godowski, teams that have a large freshman class coming in, they've really gone back to a KISS approach and systems-wise, keeping it as simple as possible. Is that an advantage for you, having, more or less a veteran team that you can maybe be a little more sophisticated if you want to?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get more sophisticated because that's just not my DNA on how we do it. And but having a returning group of guys, we can get up to speed quicker. They know what we're trying to do. Our biggest challenge here is our group of guys have to take that we have an entire group of guys that have to take that next step. And everybody knows Sammy Walker and McLaughlin and Ranta, McManus last year. Those guys had good years last year, but they got to take that next elite step. They got to go from 30 points to 40 points. And I could name, but that's where we're at in the development process, whether I go Brodzinski and Burke and Sorensen, who had 7 goals last year. If we're a group that, we're going to be a little young on D, but our D is going to come quick, where we're going to be a lot of freshmen and sophomores on defense, but we've got the forwards that can kind of back them up, and they've got tremendous talent. That's why we're not there yet. We got one monster step to take. And I think we're going to take COVID-free zone. If we can stay out of that, we're going to take those steps like we're supposed to take them. And I hope I'm explaining that right, because, I went through what they're going through the last 2 years, because you can't speed up a process with freshmen. Like, it took us till Christmas with 19 freshmen and sophomores. We stayed true until Christmas. And after Christmas, that team took off. But it took us, and we had some hard lumps in there, but we knew we had the right guys. And so you got other teams in our league, and that's college athletics. It's just in and out, out with the old, in with the new. And that, Penn State's going through that, and whatever other programs are running that. Hey, I live that, and we like it the years we're not living that way. And that's us this year.
We'll take a couple more questions, and then we'll try to get everybody out of here at 10:30. We'll go back to Greg Cameron. Greg, go ahead.
Coach, personal one for you here. What is one skill or hobby that you picked up or dusted off during the extended off season?
Me personally?
Yes, personally. What'd you take up in the spare time?
Well, if you bring you under the hood, I got a new knee, which was something that I'd put off for 5 years, and I finally had time to do it. And, I was going to do it in 17, and I got the World Junior job. I was going to do it in 18, and they gave it back to me. In 19, I took a new job with the Gophers, and I couldn't do it because I had time to finally, and it was bad. I mean, I'm at a whole different level, so I'm letting you under the hood on something like that. But sorry, I didn't learn to play the guitar, and that's on my bucket list. But the rehab, getting a total knee replacement, I'm telling you, that was a 2-3 month process that you really got to put time in. And I told the story, when it first happened. I mean, we were doing things at home with our family that we would never have done. Cleaning out scrapbooks, looking at old videos. We all save videos of our kids. Sorry, whoever watches them. We actually started watching them, and we had some real good family time for a few weeks. It got old after a few weeks, and then, then my wife booted me out of the house and said, "Go for a drive." But we did things like that early in the and then I went on the IR and took care of an old injury.
Couple more questions. We'll go to Dan Kelly with BTN.
Yeah, I used to run a 4.740, by the way, and I'm not there yet. I think I'm about a 5.2, but I'm working on getting back under 5.
I'll make sure I note that.
Dan, are you still there?
Yes, sir, Bob. Mel and Jeff touched on it a bit yesterday, and looking at your guys' first 4 games against teams in the past that played some wide open hockey. But do you think you'll see, because of the inactivity and a little bit of the rust and the late start, do you think you'll see higher scores and more wide open hockey since guys might be making more mistakes the first couple of weeks?
I hope so. If you know how I like to play, I hope we got high scoring games. I said all along, these parents spend all this money on skates and sticks and playing, taking their kids all over the country to play hockey, not to skate backwards and play defense. I think but we've had a lot of practice time too. I mean, don't kid yourself. I talked about, I was so impressed with the Stanley Cup. They had been off for all those months. They had a couple exhibition games and started. How bloody hard did they play? And that was impressive. And if it was off just a little. And they got up and going. And I know that's the National Hockey League. I think you're going to see good hockey very quickly. I really do. I mean, these are good coaches around the country and good hockey players, and they're going to get up to speed pretty quick.
All right, we have time for one or two more questions. We're going to go to Michael Russo with The Athletic.
Hey, Bob, I should do a story on the number of coaches that have gotten knee replacements during the pandemic. You're like the fifth I've heard of. So, what was that?
Lucky club.
Yeah, I know. Todd asked my question, but I wanted to ask, how much do you think that you can be a sort of an example to some of the other indoor sports teams in town, like the Wild, to almost emulate what you could do in terms of COVID, and what will it be like playing in front of such a limited crowd?
Well, that's going to be the question that I have talked about it with our staff that is. And we talked about with our team the other day, and I referenced the National Hockey League, that why I think it's affected football. I don't know the reason why. I think that, I'm a big football fan. I think the crowd, they're saying quarterbacks can hear and they're not intimidated, what have you. But my goodness, the National Hockey League, what we learned, how hard those players played with no fans in the building, and in basketball, I heard was very successful. And our athletes want to play. Is it going to be different with no fans? Absolutely. But they're going to adapt quick to it. I think the biggest challenge we're going to have isn't the fans. I mean, that's going to be a challenge. But you see, we play right away, and then we have 2 days off, and we play on a Monday, Tuesday. Playing 4 games in 6 nights. That is something that's going to be a bigger challenge for all of us, but we're all going through it. And I know they've only released our first half. We're going out to Michigan in December, and we're staying on the road playing 4 in 1 road trip. Those are more things, but with an older team, and our guys that have done that in junior hockey, but that's not a normal college hockey. We're weekend warriors. We build up pageantry of fans. We get it going. We will adapt, but there's a little bit of an unknown about your question that we're going to have to get in. I can only reference how impressed I was, and we've told that to our players, how bloody hard NHL players played. And it was physical, and they got after it. And you got to think that our hockey players at our level are going to do the same darn thing.
All right, we're going to close out with going back to Jess Myers. Jess, you have the final question for Coach.
Bob, you had effectively a goalie rotation for about half or 3/4 of the year last year, and then LaFontaine seemed to kind of take over the job. He's got a letter on his sweater this year. I mean, is it safe to assume it's his net right now, or where are you goaltending-wise?
If you look at all of our goalie stats from Christmas on, and I know Jack played it, our numbers are excellent. And Mo played very well in a handful of games. Jack I think you're going to see goaltenders from Minnesota in there and not just one. And if they've earned the right to get back there, we know what Jack's capable of doing. And if he can take that to another level, and are we going to hand it to him? He's got to go steal it. And I'll tell you, he's got battle. I mean, we got 3 good goalies. This might be the 3 best goalies that I've been around as a group of 3. Our big step is, LaFontaine's numbers from Christmas on last year were excellent. I mean, high level. Now, if they can do that for a season, now you got superior goaltending. But they know that. They know they got to pick up where they were a year ago. And you'll see us playing a couple goalies early in the year for sure. They've earned it.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank Coach Motzko. I'd like to thank all the media members for joining us today. As a reminder, this will be uploaded to the digital press box as soon as we get off this call. So have a good day, everybody, and we hopefully will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Brian.